So this is a clear-cut verdict. The Balen Shah government, which has secured over two-third majority number, which is around 184 seats in out of 275 seats in the parliament. Here, if the person holding a key position in the party matters a lot in Nepal politics. So far, it has been like the trend so far. And although the RSP has been trying to kind of replicate kind of no model who has been BJP of India has been following, like suppose somebody XYZ as a party president and somebody XYZ as the parliamentary party leader. So they have been trying to experiment this model this time in Nepal. And the third angle here is that because obviously I don't see any possibilities of any external forces basically interfering in the basically government formulation or government like cabinet formation or the policy formulation, because the maneuverability of the opportunity for the maneuverability of the external forces are very less this time. You raised one question that how many prime ministers have been so far appointed in the post constitution period, 2015 onwards. I think if you count Sushila Karki as an interim prime minister, then they have already used 9 prime ministers so far. In an
So
average.
on average, one prime minister a year.
Yes.
Whatever US interest is it only to put a spoke in China's wheel? Is it only against China, or it is also against India?
I think it's a both actually. If you see 10 years back, the Americans they have assessed that they have convinced that the India is losing its influence in the neighborhood, and because of the Chinese footprints has been gaining ground in the South Asian region. So it is, and they are under impression that better US should come forward and basically to counter Chinese or maybe the containing Chinese investment and economic cooperation and maybe the defense cooperation in the subcontinent. Similar pattern I could see with the Balen Shah, because Balen Shah immediately after becoming the mayor of Kathmandu, he had put a greater India-Nepal map in his office. I mean, after I think maybe after a year or maybe the 6 months, he removed that map and he completely changed his position. And even in fact, interestingly, during the elections, this 2020 elections, he didn't say anything against India.
Hi, welcome to Podcast with Pratim. I have with me Dr. Nihar Nayak, a researcher from IDSA in Delhi. Welcome to the show, Nihar.
Yeah, welcome, Dada. Thank you very much for having me here.
Nihar is the undisputed, I jokingly call him the king of Nepal. So, the most reputed expert. Nihar, what happened? Balen Shah, a status quo has been broken. For long, there was a hung parliament, and these
Yes.
people were taking seats like a musical chair, one after the another. Okay. And they have a constitution where there is no provision of midterm poll, I understand.
Yes.
You have to be there, the government has to be there for 5 years.
Yes.
So that created the musical chair.
Yes.
A couple of leaders, known faces, they were sharing power among themselves in after every 1 year or 2 years.
Yes.
This time, there is a completely definite verdict in favor of one party.
Yes.
So what is going to happen? So does it mean that this same party will rule Nepal for next 5 years?
Yes. Thank you, Pratim sir, for all those remarks, presenting me as a big expert of Nepal. Coming to your question is very valid and very important question. Not only you, there are several academicians and policymakers in Nepal and also in India. They have been also trying to understand whether this government will sustain for 5 years in Kathmandu or not. Because given the political history of modern Nepal, no, there has not been any single government which have been survived 5 years in the parliament. So this is a clear-cut verdict. The Balen Shah government, which has secured over two-third majority number, which is around 184 seats in out of 275 seats in the parliament. So the verdict is very much clear, and the prime minister candidate is very much clear. And the most interesting part in the entire arrangement is that this government is not going to rely on any coalition partner, likely its previous government.
Right.
So we assume that this government will run for 5 years. But there are certain issues, but there are why people are questioning, because if the government cannot complete 5 years, or it falls prematurely, perhaps because of the internal factionalism within the Rashtriya Swatantra Party. Why people are saying that? Because the current arrangement is like this. The party's president is Rabi Lamichhane. There are a couple of court cases, criminal cases are pending against him, and he has to clear from all those cases. Perhaps that is the reason he was allowed to contest the elections, but he cannot hold any constitutional position because of the restriction from the court side. In that case, the RSP projected Balen Shah as the prime ministerial candidate. And interestingly, Balen Shah is not holding any executive position of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party. I mean, what I'm saying executive position means he is not, neither he is a president, vice president, not even central working committee member also. He just simply, if you see the Rashtriya Swatantra Party website, it is said that he is a senior leader of the party. So that is a very interesting development in the entire Nepal internal politics of RSP. And obviously, the mandate, whatever RSP has received in this election, is because of the Balen. Just only because he has emerged as one of the
Interjecting
most.
here, interjecting, just you said that Balen Shah is not holding any position,
Yeah.
right? So that is something like the UPA government or Manmohan Singh government, let's put it this way,
Yes.
where the political power was with Sonia Gandhi, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were saying that the election was won in the name of Balen,
Yes.
but he is not, theoretically, he is not holding the political power.
Yes.
So is there there is, it's confusing.
No, and I'm saying what I'm saying, he has been because if you see, he is just a senior leader of that party, but not holding any, like, for example, there are a lot of positions in the party, like a general secretary, joint general
Exactly.
secretary.
Exactly. I understood your point.
Yeah.
But this isn't it very contradictory in essence? Because if the election is won in his name, it's like Narendra Modi, election is won in the name of Narendra Modi.
Yes, absolutely.
So Narendra Modi must have, well, he is not the president of BJP. He is not general secretary of BJP, but he is a very, very important member of the BJP and is
Yes.
part of the decision-making bodies,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So how is the situation here?
No, because here with the we are talking about the Nepal context. Here, if the person holding a key position in the party matters a lot in Nepal politics. So far, it has been like the trend so far. And although the RSP has been trying to kind of replicate kind of no model who has been BJP of India has been following, like suppose somebody XYZ as a party president and somebody XYZ as the parliamentary party leader. So they have been trying to experiment this model this time in Nepal. The RSP has been trying to, but the key here, why I'm trying to say here that internal factionalism will come up in the near future, because Rabi Lamichhane is extremely ambitious, like Balen Shah. And once he will be clean up and cleared all those court cases and the criminal cases pending against him, definitely he will aspire or demand to become again the Prime Minister of Nepal. So that is where the clash, the conflict will start within the RSP, where the Balen, because the mandate has been given for a particular candidate, if another candidate steps in and he tries to become the party and the country's prime minister, that is where the conflict will come up. And another interesting dynamics in the RSP, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, I'm telling you, there are two. If you see the RSP's kind of structure, it is with a large number of its cadres, or you can say the workers or the party workers. They have come from the former Vivekshil party. And so there is a combination of Rashtriya Swatantra Party and the Vivekshil Party. And most of the member of parliament this time won the elections are from the Vivekshil Party. And they all are very much sympathizing and supporter of the Balen Shah. If tomorrow anything happens, so Balen Shah may kind of defect from the party and go create a separate kind of faction along with the support of the Vivekshil Party. So that kind of situation may unfold in the future. Many people are anticipating this kind of scenario may unfold maybe after 2 years, 2 years, or maybe after 1 year. So this kind of situation may arise. Depends upon how long these court cases will be pending against Ravi Lamichhane. So that is where there. And the third angle here is that because obviously I don't see any possibilities of any external forces basically interfering in the basically government formulation or government like cabinet formation or the policy formulation, because the maneuverability of the opportunity for the maneuverability of the external forces are very less this time, because this government is not going to depending on any coalition partner. So earlier what happened when the coalition partners were joined any formation, any government formation, they were affiliated to some of the external forces, maybe someone close to China, somebody close to USA, some close to India. So this kind of combination was there. So this time at least this kind of opportunities are very less. So I think if the government will not be continuing next 5 years time, it's because of internal factionalism rather than any external factors.
Okay.
But most likely, the government, we assume that, we wish that the government continues for the 5 years because this is good for India, good for the sub-regional, sub-region, Himalayan sub-region, because at least some amount of development will be happening in that region.
Right. Of course, we want a stable government. I mean, Nepal suffered immensely due to political
Yes,
instability.
yes.
You can tell better how many prime minister have been changed in last 10 years.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, we lost count actually. So the equation that you said is interesting. They are implementing the model of a regimented party, as in BJP or the communist parties,
Yeah.
right? But it is not a old party, and it is probably not a regimented cadre-based party.
Yeah.
So that there lies the contradiction between the.
I'll just like to add here, because you raised one question that how many prime ministers have been so far appointed in the post constitution period, 2015 onwards. I think if you count Sushila Karki as an interim prime minister, then they have already used 9 prime ministers so far. In an
So
average.
on average, one prime minister a year.
Yes. So that is the beauty of Nepalese politics so far. But luckily, this government, we don't expect that same thing will be repeated. Coming to that, now, if you'll see, there's another, if you'll see overall, basically the general pattern in Nepal, the political pattern in Nepal, if you'll see, most of the government has been survived maximum 14 months. In an average, they have run for 14 months in Nepal. So that is why people are again interacting with one Nepali Congress leader, and he told me that the party is already started preparing for next election in 2 years' time. That means they're anticipating that this government may not survive for 2 years. So they are already started planning for that and
No,
preparing for that.
but that is a question that contradicts the constitution. You cannot have an election in 2 years.
No, that's what I'm saying, because that is exactly, it may not happen, but there are constitution provisions that once the government is formed, there are multiple options are there, the government can survive. But you don't know how things will be unfold in the future. Maybe the party may be defected. So, but I'm saying
Well,
this is the
let's not since it
opposite.
is just the starting days.
Yeah,
So let's
opposition
not.
parties are this is the opposition parties' tendency, and they obviously they will start preparing, and they always make this kind
I
of
understand
position.
what you mean. Is that there
Yeah,
can be defections from
yeah,
the party may split, and that all those kind of things have happened. We have seen in
yeah.
India. We have
Yes,
seen
exactly.
the strongest government in Indian history, that was Rajiv Gandhi government,
Yes,
and we have seen how it became weak at the
yeah,
end.
exactly.
So, of course, there are those issues, but let's assume these are just the starting days. So let's not speak, bring in negativity here.
Yes, that's true. That's exists absolutely.
This one of the problems that you mentioned in your remarks is that the string pulling by the external forces, right?
Yeah.
Similar to their location between the two powers, their politics has been affected by that, and all across this thing kept happening.
Yes.
So, do you think that this government will be without external influence? I mean, I'm saying because we have seen US has been stepping up its activities on that side.
Yes.
So your take, please.
Actually, why? Because if it is not why we are saying basically dragging USA in this kind of no debate, because there are several reports, whether in social media, whether in the print media, I mean the TV programs, even the Gen Z, those who are participated in the September protest, they themselves have come across statements and at different platforms that when we actually the Gen Z themselves actually carrying their protest. Suddenly they found some external elements stepped in and they hijacked the entire events. So many people often they refer about to US role, or maybe the not exactly the US role, basically the international civil society may be funded by certain Western countries. This kind of remarks they have made. And obviously, US has kind of no, if you see that recently US congressional report, they have quite strongly made a statement in terms of no related both Bangladesh election and Nepal election, and they are where they expected that the election will be conducted, and they are going to start a new kind of no relationship with a new government in Kathmandu and Dhaka. So this kind of reports are very much there and available in public domain. So that's why people are suspecting that it could be US role. But there is no very kind of credible evidence is available. These are the statements and remarks and reports. But definitely people are anticipating that given the kind of no global competition or rivalry going on between China and USA, so some amount of no US presence in this region cannot be ruled out at this point of time. And there are also people they suspect that the prime minister, I mean the would-be prime minister of Nepal, Balen, he was actually supported by backed by certain elements in the US embassy in Kathmandu. So this kind of rumors are also they are being floated in Kathmandu, but it's yet to be verified.
Right. The basic design has been same. The way these Genji protests had been taking place, I haven't studied much on Sri Lankan protests, but there are clear some similarities between the Bangladesh protests and the Nepal protests.
Yes,
The word hijack that you are using, that you used, is used by Bangladeshis as well, right?
exactly.
So let's. But one thing we know that in U.S. passed its Tibet Act, and both in this region is since the Biden administration. One is the Tibet Act, other one is the Burma Act, which have understandably started impacting the politics in the region. I was really surprised. I mean, for a country of the size of Nepal, does US Congress keep reporting or speaking on such? I mean, I'm keeping Bangladesh out, but on such small economies across the world, do they? I don't think they do.
No, see, I think you see, if you'll see the how these global or regional actors are actually playing their role in this region. I mean, whether in the Dhaka or in the Himalayan region like Nepal. You see, what is US interest in this region? It is an extra-regional powers. It doesn't have any kind of no emotional kind of no connection in this region. So it is has a purely strategic ambition in this region. That's number one. What is the Chinese goal in this region? Chinese basically the economic interest in this region. That is the reason. And from India's point of view, if you'll see, India has very lot of security concerns, whether it is a Nepal or the Bangladesh. So this is a class of no three different interests in this region. And for a smaller country like Nepal, which is hugely dependent on India, at the same time dependent on USA and China for no basically protecting its sovereignty and territorial integrity and protects interest at the UN kind of no forums, like because China is a permanent member and US is a permanent member, so they have to maintain a balance between three actors to for their own benefit. So this is a very difficult task because and previously if you'll see, China has offered Belt and Road Initiative programs in Nepal that was countered by Millennium Challenge Corporation programs by USA, and that kind of this kind of tussle and the strategic space competition for strategic space has been going on Himalayan for quite
Also,
some time.
India was also contradicting, creating counter pressure.
Pardon?
India was also creating counter pressure.
Yeah, India has been because
The proposed rail line is a clear example. So
yes.
Chinese gauge and the Indian gauge are different. And so we propose that we will build the rail line to Kathmandu, and from their side, they will bring a rail to Kathmandu. So
Yeah.
theoretically, both are connected, but actually not.
Yes, exactly. We have been trying, but our, we have been using our soft power is very different. I mean, we are software is obviously we are in advantage position in the Himalayan region, but still, I mean, in terms of no like no technology, economic no, like economic aid and all those things, still we are not very actually done extremely well in comparison to USA and China, and because we are still the fifth largest aid provider to Nepal, not the largest actually, in fact. So, and but in terms of investment, cumulatively, we are the largest investor, but the last 10 years, China has been as emerged as the largest investor in Nepal market. So these kind of challenges will be emerging actually from the Balen government, how to maintain a balance between the three aspiring countries in this region.
Let me cut you short here. I'm not bothered much about the investment. The investment needs of that kind of a nation is really small, which whether one India, one China, or any someone can do. It's not a big deal to spend $1 billion a year on some economy, right?
Yes.
The basic problem was that we know that Indian projects came, it was spiked by Kathmandu. So then there came a Chinese project, and then again, as the government changed, India put some spoke in the wheel, whatever it is.
Yes.
My point is, I am taking you a little more direct. Whatever US interest is it only to put a spoke in China's wheel? Is it only against China, or it is also against India?
I think it's a both actually. It can't be because if you see US assessment.
The way they are encircling, from this thing started happening from Sri Lanka. So the
Yes.
way, if we just from estimate, so this is not a normal pattern.
Yeah, it's a largely basically largely they have been targeting. If you'll see, there is a pattern here. If you'll see the Sri Lankan government before it was toppled down by these protesters, it was basically trying to uh, basically enhance its relationship with China. If you'll see, the Chinese
Yeah,
investment
it
was
was
including
tilting too
anything,
much towards China.
and same
Same was the case with Nepal. Same was the
Nepal.
case with Bangladesh.
Yeah, Hasina also, Sheikh Hasina also did the
Same.
same thing. And but Nepal case, what happened? The Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, on the sideline of this SCO meeting, he attended that one security conference, which is basically China was arranged, and that was, I believe, that could be the triggering point. Where even after 1 week of that, all those events, actually, this Gen Z protest happened in Kathmandu. So you can link that, to connect the dots, basically to find what exactly, why did that exactly happened in Nepal at exactly after 1 week of that. So definitely there is a clear-cut China angle behind this. All these protests have been going on in the subcontinent. Definitely it is there, but maybe some lighter sense we can say that yes, in the long-term basis, India is also one of the factors in the entire situation unfolded for the last 2 3 years in the subcontinent. So you cannot say that India is not in the radar. Definitely, India is very much in the radar. But again, how India is going to project itself at the international level, that will be seen in the future.
Right. Of course, India is on the radar because the way this Lando recently said at the Raisina dialogue is that we are not going to let India be a competitor, which put in reverse only means that they think that there is a potential that it can be a competitor. So it's time to put some spokes in the wheel.
And there is an interesting point here. I would like to, I mean, maybe I might have discussed with you earlier also. If you see 10 years back, the Americans they have assessed that they have convinced that the India is losing its influence in the neighborhood, and because of the Chinese footprints has been gaining ground in the South Asian region. So it is, and they are under impression that better US should come forward and basically to counter Chinese, or maybe the containing Chinese investment and economic cooperation, and maybe the defense cooperation in the subcontinent. So that exactly, perhaps I can see it is happening at this moment. Like we'll see the statements of US ambassador to Dhaka. I mean, he joined on the 21st of January, and the next day he made a similar kind of statement that he warned the Bangladesh government that it is a very much risk to deal with China and possibly to distance from engaging with China. So that clear-cut policy is very much, I can say, at this moment, very much at the implementation level from the US side in this subcontinent.
Right. Let's come to the last and the most important question. So the political instability was affecting relationship with India.
Yes.
If the relationship would have been stable, perhaps by this time we could have built at least one or two hydropower projects or something else. I mean, the gaps, the technological capabilities, etc., no more exist. India, we all know that we have built the best of the Himalayan railways now. So, so we are very much capable these days. And the amount is, as I say, that the amount is really small. I mean, we just bailed out Sri Lanka, $4 billion we spent when the financial crisis took place
Yes.
there. So, big money. The straight and precise question is, how do you expect Balen Shah government to work with India? Because Balen Shah was known for anti-India rhetorics.
Yes. Look, I don't see, if you'll go by anti-India sentiments, I don't see much difference between Oli and Balen Shah. What Oli did, I mean, ultranationalism, taking anti-India rhetoric during election time, and even after that also, similar pattern I could see with the Balen Shah, because Balen Shah immediately after becoming the mayor of Kathmandu, he had put a greater India-Nepal map in his office. I mean, after I think maybe after a year or maybe the 6 months, he removed that map and he completely changed his position. And even in fact, interestingly, during the elections, this 2020 elections, he didn't say anything against India. But definitely, we hope that he might have. We believe that he's a changed man. He will not continue or pursue his anti-India rhetoric in the future as head of the as a head of the government in Nepal, and the government of India has very much positive on this particularly 2026 elections, and Prime Minister Modi has already congratulated both Ravi Lamichhane and Balen Saha yesterday over telephone. So government of India very much positive and looking forward kind of more kind of joint and collaborative effort between two countries, because it is an opportunity for India, because after a long time there is a stable government will be there in the Kathmandu. There will not be any kind of ambiguity in terms of Indian investors in India invest in Nepal market, because earlier the governments were frequently changing their policy based on the coalition governments basically formulation and their pressure. So that kind of situation will not arise in the future. So government of India is very much, I believe, that confident at this moment, and believe that the economic cooperation will progress. Many stalled projects which are not moving forward because of the coalition reasons, I think we believe that it will be move forward. And Balen Shah, interestingly, has removed the BRI programs in his manifesto. So that's a good positive signal for India, that at least India's Tarai region will be free from any kind of Chinese investment. We believe that will happen in the near future. So overall, this is a good development for India. It's a new Nepal, new government, and new initiative. So we hopeful that our bilateral relationship will be strengthened further during Balen Shah's leadership.
Thanks, Nihar. Thanks for giving time. I think we
Thank
have to
you.
look forward to this. Just a new government, so we can just only discuss the early possibilities. And
Yes.
we all know that geopolitics is too difficult to predict.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Dada,
you.
for having me here again. It's a very
Thanks.
interesting platform. Thank you very much.
Thanks.